Where though? In search of the black fantastic politics and culture. Politics and popular culture in the post civil rights era by Richard Iton. Oxford University Press, 2008. For Miss Laura Boscoin, October 24, 1902 to February 15, 2005. Still, always, in search of the black fantastic by Richard Iton. Most certainly, the black elements is indispensable in developing a race's artistic genius. This is my point of departure. Count Joseph's Arthur de Gabbiano, 1855. The Negro is primarily an artist, loving life for its own sake. His métier is expression rather than action. He is, so to speak, the lady among the races. Robert E. Park, 1942. I as a black writer must in some ways represent you. Now, you didn't elect me and I didn't ask for it, but here we are. James Baldwin, 1963. My Negro friends recognize a certain division of labor among the members of their tribe. Their demands are that I publish more novels. Ralph Ellison, 1964. Chapter 1. Stand up. Known rivers, new forms. It is a familiar dilemma. How do the excluded engage in apparently dominant order? Yo, Starlove, you know what come here, the one come that bad. Go on, Richard. Does progress entail that the marginalized accept mainstream norms and abandon transformative possibilities? These questions, of course, become more complicated once we recognize that the excluded are never simply excluded, and that their marginalization reflects and determines the shape, texture, and boundaries of the dominant order and its associated privileged communities. The identities of the latter are inevitably defined in opposition to and as negation of the representations of the marginalized, and in certain respects the outside is always inside, invisible perhaps, implicated and disempowered, unrecognized but omnipresent. In this context, how do we outcast, imagine, and calibrate progress and assess options, correction. For blacks in the United States and elsewhere, this outside-in dynamic has often been experienced asymmetrically as political disenfranchisement and on one hand and empowerment and overemployment in the arenas of popular culture on the other. Accordingly, in trying to map out the most effective strategies for emancipation, African Americans have had to try to understand the precise nature of the linkage between popular culture and this thing we call politics. What kinds of politics can cultural actors make if blacks, as is commonly asserted, have a unique relationship with the cultural realm? A position that has been celebrated by some and cursed and refused by others. My main aim here is to identify exactly how we might situate popular culture in general and black popular culture in particular in relation to both the formally and informally political. Second, I want to consider the implications of reading culture as politics in the context of post-civil rights era. The post-civil rights era, sorry. One of the most intriguing aspects of contemporary black politics is the relationship among the realms of formal political activity involving black elected officials and organized interest groups, state-focused protest organizations such as the National Urban League and the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, NAACP, the Rainbow Coalition, the National Action Network, extra state mobilization characterized by the programs of the Black Panther Party and the Nation of Islam, and the media of religiosity and popular culture, with the significant increase in organic and sympathetic elected representation following the end of Jim Crow, one might expect the means by which African Americans' interests are conceived and articulated an urgency and the urgency with which they are expressed would change. It is interesting that despite the 1964 Civil Rights Act, which suggested a commitment to policies of anti-discrimination, and the 1965 Voting Rights Act legislation that significantly enhanced black voting power, the realms of protest activity, extra state and after nationalist engagement, and African American religiosity and popular culture have continued to be politically relevant. In other words, at the same time that blacks marked increased their access to areas of formal political decision making, and despite expectations that legalistic terms would orient most political energies towards the arenas, informal politics has continued to play a major role in mobilizing and shaping and containing and deconscribing black politics.
I think coming away artists